I am actually very honored to be standing here before such a huge audience. You know, I said I wasn't going to do it, then I was going to do it, and you're all out here, and it's really amazing, and it's a credit to you. So you should all give yourself a hand. Okay. I just want to dedicate this presentation to my mother-in-law, Rebbetzin Esther Jungreis, Salav Shalom, and I should be a schus for her memory and neshama. But I also want to have it for Refuah Shleimer for Yitzchak ben Ratzarechel and Meshulam ben Rivka. And I'm privileged to be here. I don't know if I can live up to the words of Dina, but let me just see if I get technical. Oh, no, I'm on. Yes, okay. This is my hardest part. Technology fails me, but let's hope it goes today. So, okay. I have to do this at the same time. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do with everybody tonight. I have a lot crammed in, and I might have to leave some stuff out, but part of my agenda and what I want you to know and understand is a little bit neurobiology, which I used to think is the most boring thing in the world, science and math, like that wasn't my strength. It was like, but what I did find was that when I knew what was going on in the body and what was happening to me somatically, I was able to transfer that to my clients' children. And once you know what's happening in their brain, you're able to communicate with them more effectively. So there are going to be things that you're going to learn never to do because it will have no effect. And then I'm going to speak about dysregulation, how children get dysregulated. We have the optimal zone of tolerance, and I'll explain it to you, and then how they dysregulate. They either go very hyper, panic, startle, freaking, temper tantrums, all that, or they go down to hypo, shut down, depressed, sad. So we want to keep them in the window of tolerance, and I'll explain that to you. The strategies of children, okay? Types of attachment. You know, we don't all have to be the same kind of parent. The parent that takes the child to the parks every day. I had a friend, I promise you, she was in botanical gardens every Friday, or on the beach, with her bells of boys, I mean, with payas flying, and she just managed. She said to me she went to botanical gardens 50, 60 times. Now, I thought I was creative. I used to do things from toilet paper holder and things like that and buttons, and I was not always going out as much. And you know what? It doesn't matter. It matters that you have simchas hachayim and you play with your children and you give them focus. And we're going to talk about how to do that in any which way that you and your personality is. That's what's important. It's not important that you're not doing the best chalamoid trips out there, okay? So that's another thing we're going to get to. How the body has been shaped by our experiences. And also, we have to note as parents, this is a big one. I remember when I'm supervised by Anna Gomez. She's an EMDR child specialist, and she's one of the most famous people in Arizona. She does worldwide trainings. And I worked with her and supervised with her for a few years. And she said to me, when I used to have parents come in and they'd ask me, how long is it going to take with the child, or, you know, what happens and this and that, she said you could clean the table in the house, you could clean the room in the house, or you could clean the entire house. And that means that we look at our own stuff. What triggers us and how we look at our children. That's our unresolved traumas. And we have to learn to get to know them, because this way we'll react differently to our children. So I better start moving. This somatic awareness, and I hope we can do a grounding exercise. So, nope. Okay, well, what's going on? Stay. Okay, go ahead. No, not, yes, okay. All right, so there's 3 parts of the brain. I'm going to run through this quickly, okay? Now, Dan Siegel explains this as the downstairs brain and the upstairs brain, okay? This is really quick. The reptilian part, there's 3 parts of our brain. There's the reptilian part of the brain, which is just survival, fight, flight, or flee. It's reactive and protective. There is no thinking. If you get rear-ended and back with a car, you're going to feel sweaty, hot, what just happened? That's the 10-second message to the brain. 5 seconds later, I think I was just smashed by a car. But the first is, you don't even know. It's reactive, it's protective. The mammalian brain is the emotional process. How we process emotionally, happy, sad, angry, jealous, all that. The neocortex is the higher thinking part of the brain, okay? So there's upstairs, downstairs is here, hits here. This is the amygdala, the warning, the nerve that tells you what's, when you're in danger. And this is the thinking skills, the problem solving, okay? Now, when I talk to children about this, I want them to know what that means, okay? So I tell them this crocodile brain for reptilian part. That's survival. They either fight, they run away, or freeze. That is the immediate reaction of every human being. But for children, I have to break it down like that. Then I tell them there's a horsey brain. We have emotions, anger, sadness, cuddling, giving and getting love. And then there's the thinking brain, the reasoning, thinking, and planning brain. Now, why do I discuss this with the kids? Why this neurobiology, even with parents? First of all, because I tell kids that's an awesome alarm system that Hashem gave us. Because when you start to feel funny in your stomach, and I'm sure Debbie will speak more about that, and you know something is wrong and doesn't feel right, if you've been trained by your parents to listen to what's going on, feeling words, somatic, then you will stay away and back away. Because you're listening to your body, and not many of us do that. We just keep going and going and going until you can't take it anymore. Then you need the hot bath, then you need the ointments. I've been there. I did the heating pad last night. Trust me. So I am saying that we need to listen to learn to our bodies. Now, what is very, very important to know is that when you're in crocodile brain, so just think if we're in Florida and we're on the riverbank and a crocodile walks up. Are we having a discussion with the crocodile? What does the crocodile want to do? It wants to eat us. So when our child is in crocodile brain, reptilian brain, temper tantrum, they don't hear you. I saw these studies in Colombia. It would be like, this is what they see. No sound waves coming through. The hormone levels, the stress levels, they cannot go up to the reasoning, thinking brain. It's shut down. So you're dealing with a temper tantrum, and you don't need to waste your voice. I've seen parents in my office, honey, there's alternate side street of the parking. We really have to go. I know you want to stay with Mrs. Jungreis. And I'm thinking, he's 3 years old. He doesn't hear you. He's having a temper tantrum. We discussed this. And she's like, we're going to get a ticket, honey. We're going to get a ticket. And I'm like, no, 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 no. He doesn't hear you, okay? So that's the first thing, if anything. Okay, so here's, no, I keep going down. Okay, this is what I talked to you about. Children get caught up feeling too much or too little. I'm not going to waste too much on this. This is the optimal arousal zone. You want them to connect. You want them to be compassionate and curious. You are their mirror, okay? What they see on you is what they feel inside. We're going to discuss that a little bit more. But every single age, even my 34-year-old wants to know what I thought about what he did, da, 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 da. So it goes on until it's over. So I'm sorry, ladies. That's what I saw in a nursing home. I see a 70-year-old daughter fighting with her 90-year-old mother. You never complimented me in my whole life. And I'm saying, no, it's not still going on. But it is. You want your mother's approval, and you want your father's approval all the time. And some of us don't have it. But you know what? If we play with them, and if we didn't get it from our parents, we can still repair. That's the good news. We can build new neural pathways for our children, even if we don't have the grandparents we would want them to have. We can do the magic repair. And that's what the brain studies are showing us, and that's why I'm so interested in the hippocampus and the amygdala and all this science stuff because I'm seeing how new neural pathways are being built that can actually change the relationship between the parent today, even with her parent not being the right parent. So that's good news. Okay, so this is a slide, nope, okay. So we have animals in the wild, right? And these animals have mechanisms of adaptations. They have learned how to survive in the wild. Tiger, I am tough, so do not try to hurt me or I will hurt you. So this isn't really the tiger talking. This is the child talking, okay? Porcupine, don't get close to me or I will poke you. Skunk, I make others smell bad to protect myself. I put up walls around me and do not let anyone get too close. I want to stay away from others. I do not feel safe around people. I hide so I do not have to deal, think, and feel stuff that bothers me. Those are the kids that color change. They become exactly like you. They don't want to be noticed. They don't have opinions. They're too shy. It's not safe for them. It is not safe to be seen or heard. I do not want to be noticed. I am clingy. I cannot help myself, so I need others to constantly take care of me and entertain me. Or, I do what others tell me to do, even if I do not like it, or even if I do not think it is right. Those children that just follow the leaders. So when animals act like that in the wild, when the tiger roars, when the turtle goes under the shell because it senses danger, when the skunk's tail goes up, do we say to the skunk, how dare you? You're trying to spray me? What did I do? What's wrong with you? No, what we do is we say, let's back away. That skunk thinks he's in danger and he's going to spray our whole porch. Someone left the garbage out. Or the black garbage, I always have that in the country. The black garbage bag that got forgotten, yeah. So the skunks show up. I see the tail go up, I back away. Because I know the skunk is not really angry at me. No, no, no. He just heard my footfalls and I interrupted his dinner and he doesn't know what to do. But what happens when children do this? Or they do this. We call them manipulative, we call them obnoxious, we call them clingy. So if all of you walk away tonight and think, when your children behave like this, it is because it is their strategies of survival when they start to bedwet, when they start to tantrum, it's because they don't know how to express themselves. This is their survival methods. So we have to look at children differently. We have to look at why is this happening. Children want to be good. When our nervous system is activated, we say and do things that we regret. Remember I talked to you about when we're in reptilian brain? Our instant reaction is to really shout. When we perceive threat, real or imagined, we go into fight and flight. It's our biological makeup to do whatever it takes to protect ourselves and survive the threat, whether it's insults from our friends, whether it's embarrassment, pain, or anger. So children do or say things before they can even think or have a better choice. I was speaking to a group of parents, teachers, and I said to them, you know, they were young teachers, and they were like, you know, the girls are so chutzpahdik. There's chutzpahdik to me. I can't accept that. You know, we can't accept chutzpah. And I'm like, aha. So maybe you can, you know, like take yourself out of the picture for a second and just think, why is that child doing that? You know, all the children are being chutzpahdik. That's the reactive. Now, I'm not saying we should tolerate chutzpah, but you need to have another set of thinking skills. You need to know that something is causing this. Okay? Not the problem, not the behavior, what's the problem? Overwhelming emotions of guilt, shame, and humiliation. You know, I see kids that have been hurt and traumatized and abused. They can't even function in school. They're living like a double lives, and teachers miss it all the time. You have to be in tune to your children. And that's why what you said about the cell phones is so important. You can't be attuned to the children. And I just want you all to know that you are their mirror. A 2-year-old does not know who they are. A 3-year-old does not know who you are. So if you think of yourself as a mirror when you talk to your child, and you start shouting and screaming at them and criticizing them, they think they are no good. If you tell them they are beautiful and special, then they will think that. If you tell them they can do it, they will do it. I remember my son was 3 years old, and I was in a rush to get him to school because I had a million things to do, and he was trying to zip up his jacket. And you know how those 2 pieces never get in there? Like, it's so annoying. And he's trying to do the jacket, and I said, no, that's really a hard jacket. Mommy can help you with that. And he goes, no, I'm doing it. And he's trying to pull it up, and it's like another minute. Oh, yeah, sure, Sheffield, you keep trying. I'm like trying to be the, you know, I was giving parenting sessions. I do parenting support groups until today, but I started way back. And I'm like trying to be really, you know, present parent and understanding that he's in this me-do-it autonomous stage, child development, and I know this logically, but I still have to get to wherever I have to get to, and I have to drop him off. And he's trying to go, you know, it's really, really hard, David. Let me just do it for you, okay? Mommy will just, you have to put those 2 things together and really zip it up, and this jacket's a really, 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 really hard one. And he's like looking at me, and then he zips it up and goes. And that look on his face. So I said to him, wow, you did it, David. I knew you could do it. And he says to me, no, you didn't. Failed, but whatever, you know. So that's the kind of thing that you really have to, you know, you mirror to them. And I remember having a little girl in my office, and she says to me, she drew me a picture. And what I do with the kids in my and I think is another strategy that's so important for parents, yeah, you did such a good job. You're so great. You're so wonderful. I don't like that. I remember giving an article that I wrote on learning disabled children, and one of the things I said in the article was that learning disabled children could get to the same place. It's like some of them will get on a boat, on a car, on a train, or a plane, but they're going to get to the same place. You have to have hope and encouragement. It was one of the pieces I wrote in the article, and it's not relevant. But one person, I gave it to 2 people to read. One of them said it was really good, it was great, it was a fantastic article. And the other one said, you know, the way you describe the transportation in relevance to the disabilities of the children, then when you talked about eyeglasses and I was like, yeah, really? So you really like that, right? Oh, you know? I say to parents, it's not good, great, perfect. You have to name what they're doing. This building is so creative. You put all those pieces, you can be an architect, an engineer. I don't care what I pull out of my hat, but I want them to own something that they know how to do. So I had this little girl in my office, and she says to me, she draws a picture for me, and I tell parents, this is what I was trained 20 years ago in Bank Street. They go, what should I make? What should I make? So I tell them, I don't give them the answer. I tell them, well, do you want to make a person, a place, or thing? And then some cogs and shifts starts to go into the brain, and they hopefully come up with something. And they draw something, and you have absolutely no idea what it is. Do you love my picture? Do you see what it is? And I'm like, no, it's 16 blobs. How would I know? So what you're supposed to do is describe what you see. Describe it. So I had this little girl in my office, and I said, wow. I had no idea what she was drawing. And she goes, you see it? Isn't it? I said, wow, you use so many colors. You did the red, the green, the orange, the yellow. And she says, yeah. And I said, you know, and I said, wait, how many colors did you use? And she wants to count with me. She starts counting, and I get engaged with her. And then I said to her, this picture makes me feel like spring. She goes, you know what? You know what? I'm going to make you another picture now that's going to make you feel like summer. She says, whenever I show my pictures to my teachers, they tell me it's stunning. Stunning, 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 stunning. And that's it. Where can you go from stunning? You want to, and it was the same with my 3-year-old. I used all my children as samples now, but he's did a blob of gray, there was some blood on, some red on the paper, and then some blue writing. I had no idea. And he goes, Ma, you see what it is? And I'm like, I see all the gray, and I see the little drops of red. And he goes, yes, that's Yoina, who was swallowed by the whale, and I'm sure he got bloody because he couldn't have just been, the sharks have such sharp teeth, and then there's the ocean with the blue sky. Ma, how did you, it's exactly it. I never told him that. I never dreamed that it was Yonah. I told him about Yonah Shabbos. This was on Wednesday. So this was totally not related, but the whole thing came out. And that's another thing that's very important. You have to reflect back what your children say. And that's where I'm going to talk to you a little bit about active listening. Okay, so I'm going to move quickly now. Adults and parents in children's life can help the damage done by their deeds and words. So the good news is, okay, is that we are going to make mistakes every day. That's the bad news, actually. The good news is that we can repair it. We have thousands and thousands of chances with children. And research shows that even children that are abused by their parents want to stay with their parents. So we already have, we're way ahead. And Donald Winnicott said, you just have to be a good enough mother, 35%. That means being present. That means being attuned. When the child says something to you, reflect back what they say. I used to tell parents, I still do, give each child 5 minutes private time. So she says to me, what do you mean? This one comes home an hour before. I sit with her for an hour till my other son comes home. I said, but just say in that hour, this is 5 minutes private time. You can't even imagine the things that come out from 5 minutes private time. If you have a lot of kids, you might have to make it 3 minutes. But it's your time. And I make a whole thing, oh, sorry, I can't talk on the phone right now. I'm doing private time with David right now, sorry. Okay. And they look, and the first time when I tell them about this idea, they're checking the watch to see if it's really going to be 5 minutes. I tell them how they were born. I tell them stories. I tell them how I feel, how they feel. And things just come out. And I remember 30 years ago, 25 years, I don't want to date myself, but my supervisor said to me, her son called her, and she had done 5 minutes private time, and he was already the Gabba to the Belzer Rebbe. And he called up, and he was so, this was a very sad moment, and he was choked up and crying, and he didn't know what to say. And it couldn't come out, the words. And he said, Mommy, he was 35, he goes, I need private time. She goes, David, what's wrong? What's wrong? So he says, I had a baby that his heart is not functioning. Like, but that's what came right out of his mouth. Mommy, I need 5 minutes private time. That's how lasting and effective it was all the years. Anyway, the other thing is you need to help your children tolerate feelings of regret and shame, okay? We have to help them with containment, boundaries, and safety, predictability, time away, and grounding. I'm going to teach you how to ground after this, but one of the things that is very, very important is that you cannot help take away the natural consequences of something that happens. If they're mean to a friend, the friend's going to be mean back. You can't always call up and fix everything. The most important thing that you can do for your children is help them tolerate those feelings of shame. Help them tolerate the feelings of guilt. Help them tolerate feeling bad. Because the generation today does quick fixing. And then when they're off on their own and they have to tolerate waiting or gratification is not instant, it is very, very bad for them because they didn't have the practice of a no. They didn't have the discomfort of, what do you mean? Like I had a woman today, I was on Skype with her, and she said to me, what do I do? My son is really acting up. He's 16, he put the bowl, he made coffee, but he kept playing it, placing it on 3 things, and he cracked it. And you know, what can I tell about adolescents? I said, well, they're very annoying, that I could tell you. So she said, they're going to try to annoy you, and they want to separate from you, and they want to be independent, just like 2-year-olds. It's called rapprochement. But the bottom line is, I said to her, what happened when he cracked the bowl? So she goes, I'm going to have to get out and get a new one. I said, so, like, doesn't he get to, you know, be responsible for that? Like, we don't want to give punishment to our children, but we want them to understand cause and effect. You go to the post office at 5, it's closed. You go to the interview late, you're not getting the job. You break mommy's things, you might have to help replace it. Cause and effect, nothing personal, just life. Very matter of fact. But if you say it with that shriek in your voice, you broke my bowl, I can't take this anymore, you lose it. It has to be like, oh, I really like that bowl. Easier said than done. I couldn't tutor my own kids. When I was doing special ed, I tutored hundreds of children. When it was my son, it was like, Yosef, sit down, you're not sitting straight. I can't believe it, how many times do I have to tell you this? It's very different when it's your own child, but we have to work on it and work on the emotions. Okay, play is amazing and helping tolerate the feelings of shame and regret. And I'll give you an example of that soon. Okay, this says pretty much the same. When children are angry, sad, anxious, fearful, they need to learn to tolerate these uncomfortable and painful sensations. Then they will no longer need to engage in maladaptive, disruptive, aggressive behavior. You see, parents are always afraid that kids are going to say things and they're uncomfortable discussing it because it's going to make it worse. But they're already thinking it anyway, and they know. So you might as well matter-of-factly discuss it. And then it doesn't have to sit in their stomach and make them feel shame, and make them feel nervous, and make them have anxiety. I remember when I came home with my granddaughter, I was watching the children, whatever, and my little granddaughter, Batsheva, slips on the steps, and she starts crying. So my husband says, Batsheva, nothing happens, Shreifala, it's okay, nothing happens. I looked at him. Something did happen, I said. I said, Batsheva, you fell? It really hurts? And she goes, screaming even more. So my husband goes, you see? I told you. But that's the point. She felt understood. And you know what? That day, a mother says to me, I was running home with my kids. I had 4 kids, 2 on each side of the carriage. One of them fell, and I was like running with her, and she fell a little bit. I said, hurry, 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 because we have to get home for the other, you know, the delivery's coming. And I said, nothing happened, Shafel, and I was pushing and wiping off her thing. And she says, that night I was in Williamsburg. That night I went out for a chasana with my friend, and I was rushing, and I slipped on the curb, and my seam stocking tore. My friend said, come on, we have to make the chuppah. I was like, excuse me. And you know what? That's what we're doing to our kids. We deny their feelings because we're so worried they're going to get more upset. You know what? You need to hear it. You need to reflect it back. And then it's bye. It's at least my mother understands me. You can't fix the ripped stocking, but at least you have someone who understands me. Okay, so this, we all know. Attachment wounds? No? Okay. This is what happens when kids do not get attunement from their parents. They don't feel good enough. They fear abandonment. They can't bond in relationships. They're critical of themselves. They're perfectionists. They're too needy. Poor boundaries makes them too rigid or porous. They're very vulnerable to feel victimized. You are their mirror. If you criticize them, they will feel that they will start to criticize others. That's what they heard. They don't know to be open and compassionate and curious. If you don't give them boundaries, if everything is just too loose, then they're not contained and they don't feel safe. You know how Hashem is to us, and when crazy things happen, we have some emunah, we have the Rebbe, we think, okay, it had to happen, that's sometimes the only thing that we have to hold on to. And when the parents don't put those containers and boundaries and say no to the children, they have nothing to hold on to. That's why Hashem created that we should have a binyan in a house. So just listen and reflect. No solutions, no questions, no advice, no philosophy. Okay? What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that it's active listening. We very often see our children very upset. The Rebbe was such a stupid, crazy Rebbe. I hate him so much. So we'll say something like, Shefala, we don't really talk like that. No. Yes, he is. You don't even know. He's horrible and mean and disgusting, okay? You don't even understand. But we really don't talk like that, because that's like, we don't say crazy and stupid and, idiot, Rebbe. No. No. We could do the chinuch later. 5 minutes later is fine too. 10 minutes. Wait. So just imagine a woman who's in an office with 40 cubicles. Okay, and she's director of operations, and the boss came and gave her a letter to type that morning or do something, and there's a big dinner, and she's been tons of phone calls coming in. And what happens? She's standing there, and he goes, I don't understand why I pay you this salary. That's ridiculous. I asked you to do one thing, and you couldn't do it. Now her face is getting really red. I'm not wearing red, but red. Okay? And now she's hearing the computers, like, in the cubicle stopping to type, as he's ranting and raving at her, and she wants the floor to open up and swallow her. And now the whole office is silently listening while this boss is going on and on. She calls one friend, and the friend starts with the questions. So, when did he give you that letter to type? Like, was it in the morning? Like, yeah, wait, the Rebbe told you to, wait 1 second, he gave you you couldn't do the assault. She feel better now? Okay. Oh, wait, now hold on. What happened? Okay, solutions. You know what? Tell your husband to come home from Colo really quickly. Tell him to come home, tell him to take the kids and type up the letter right away and run to your boss and just give him the letter and tell him, we're sorry. And that's the solution, okay? Is she feeling better now? I'm not. Okay, advice. Maybe next time, just organize your time. If you would just have that knapsack neat, or have your supplies, like I tell you, every single day, it would be better. Feeling better now? So here's the other friend. Oh, wait, the boss must have had a horrible day. Your Rebbe didn't mean it. I'm telling you, he's usually so fantastic. You love him. You love this Rebbe. You told me you loved him last week. What do you mean he embarrassed you? No, he's a great Rebbe. He didn't mean it. Feel better? Here's the last friend she called. And this is what the friend said. 1 second. He said this in front of 40 other people? In front of the whole pool room, where all the desks are? He said those things to you? I'm so sorry. How does she feel now? She feels understood. And that's what doesn't happen. We're so busy trying to fix it and explain away the horrible feelings that they might be having. Didn't mean it, do this, let's fix it. Just sit with it. Life happens. It's not always easy. It doesn't always feel good. Let them feel it. You can't fix it. Like one girl came home and she says to me that, you know, all the girls left her out. They didn't invite her for dinner. So what happened? She was really feeling bad. She comes home. This mother says to her, you know, I told you not to stick around with these girls. They're no good. Why don't you call up Rivki and Chani? They always want to play with you. These girls always leave you out. What's the other mother say? She says, oh my goodness, they left you out. I'm so sorry. That must feel awful. Period. Period. That's it. So now one girl has a mother. Not only was this girl left out and feeling horrible, but she has a mother who's shouting and ranting and raving. I told you what to do. You never listened to me. Why didn't you go that? Cool this one, cool that one. Fixing. The other one has, no one could change it. No mother could call up those friends and tell her to invite her daughter. Not going to do that. But at least one child has a mother who understands her, who understands her pain and feels her hurt. That's attunement. So what do you do when your alarm is on and the clouds cover the sun and me? We as parents, we're very nervous, we're very uptight, we have a lot on our plates, we yell to get a point across, we ignore inappropriate behaviors, we give the silent treatment, we become critical, we point out what the child did wrong, we yell, but then we feel bad, so we give in to the child's request, we let our child get away with things, we nag, we preach, we start labeling the child, we go into problem solving. So that's when the sun is covered by our own clouds, by our own triggers, which is another workshop. But if we can act, think, and feel when the sun is in me, is open, expressing your whole authentic self, you can be loving, nurturing, empathetic. You could be the bigger, stronger, wiser person, and you could set boundaries. Now, what I mean, and this is why hold on. I show this picture because this is what I meant when the parent has their stuff going on. If that parent has been criticized by her parents, or she's now remarried and her ex-husband was, I had this in my office, was always critical of 2 dishes in the sink. When her Menachem comes home and he says, ugh, you made southern fried chicken, I don't like this schnitzel. If she can't mentalize and look at him without getting triggered, she'll get triggered because she was criticized all the time. And she's like, what is wrong with you? I made this specially, and she ran to get the breadcrumbs. Instead of being able to hold his mind in her mind at the same time, which is called mentalization, that's like when I told the teachers to step back and not think about the chutzpah and your own if she could step back and say, you know, Mendel loved the schnitzel last week. What's wrong? What kind of day did he have today? Why is he so sad? Why is he complaining about the schnitzel? Don't react right away. Stop. Look at what your strategies and the behaviors your children are doing. Try to understand them. Okay, so this is the same thing. The secure, authentic, and mentalized parent can actively listen to the child, reflect back his feeling, can give and receive love. So there's nurturance, attention, appreciation, and affection. Okay? Now through play, that's a very big thing. If we play with the children, we can really very, very effectively rebuild and rewire anything that has been harmful or difficult for them in the past. If you continue to play, have simchas chayim, be playful with them. Look at what they need for connection. I had this one woman, she says to me, my child always wants to be the baby. She's 5 years old, she's still jumping in my lap. Bati, I can't stand it. I said, give her the bottle. Let her be in your lap. Give her what she needs. But put a boundary on it. Put a container. You say you have 10 minutes of baby time. 5 minutes. She gets what she needs, and you put a boundary, and she learns boundaries. Containment. Mirror. You need to be seen, felt, known. I ask children, I used to ask my sons this, but it was very pointless. I'd say, which outfit should I wear, or which scarf, the red or the black, both. You could wear the red and the blue or the green, okay? And like, it was, but if you ask your children what their opinion, and even small things, like what should I put on the baby, that means you're asking me? I count? I'm worth something? Even ask them, you want apple juice or orange juice? Oh, I get to make a choice. You know you have apple, they're going to choose apple juice, but that gives them autonomy. That makes them think I'm a person. That's how you engage. I remember, and I'm going to just tell you this last story. I was asking my son, and I don't know if this one was in the Gemara or the computer, I have two types, and he's looking into it, and I asked him, should I wear the gray or the black skirt to this jacket? And he goes, Ma, I mean, look in the mirror. He was like a boy, you know. So I said, I did look in the mirror. I don't know what to say. She said, should I take a picture of it? So I said, no, I could do a picture. So he looks at me and he goes, all right, you know what, wear the gray. I go back to the closet and I see this huge ruffle in the back of the gray. It was the wrong gray. It totally did not go to the black jacket. And I'm thinking, can I creep out of the room with the black skirt on, because he was still there. And he was busy with something, but he was there. And I'm thinking, maybe I'll just put on the gray and put the black in a skirt in the bag, and then just tiptoe and maybe, like, I didn't know what to do. Well, meanwhile, I put on the gray skirt, but I was sure he wasn't going to look up. 14 years old, he looks up. He says, oh, you put on the gray? I said to him, wait, didn't you tell me the gray? I did. You said the gray, right? Yeah, the gray is great, Ma. It's fantastic. I said, oh, because, you know, you told me the gray. And I took the gray. And I wore it with the ruffle, and I didn't bother changing. I lived. But that would be an opposite message. You're asking them something, and then you don't do it. So, no, what keeps happening here? Okay. Okay, I just want to see. So these are some of the things I ask kids, what is safe, and what is, they draw things that they feel calm, safe, comfortable place is something you could do with your kids with drawings. What they feel is a calm, safe place, and then you could have them visualize it when they're feeling in school upset about something. I make a fuss about doing it in the sand tray, during drawings, in any which way, to just tell them, what's your calm, safe place? And if they can't find safety for whatever reason or something, you know, your child is going through, I'll say calm, comfortable place. That's her bed. That's in a sand tray. And this was a little girl's dining room was safe. And I always ask kids what they're good at. You can even do this as an exercise with your kids. What do you know about yourself? What would your friends say about you? What does Heidi always say about you? What does Mommy say? And she came up with a whole list. They own it. You're giving them something. Just like when I said you're creative. You could be an architect. This drawing is so creative. You have so many colors in it. I'm not going to the somatic, but body language, eye levels, eye contact, you can see a lot from your children's body language. And if we don't have a sense of body, we don't have a sense of self. And these are the things that I say. Children feel. Look at the way the child describes his surroundings. So, you see the big bear? That was the child's Rebbe, and the bear was his menaho, who he couldn't stand. You see the bottom? His friends, and the soldier, that was the bully in the class. This was a child going through a custody case. She told me, actually, she was 12 years old, she said, the world is a jungle. And that was a child that felt totally alone. Look at all those animals bearing down. And this was a mother who had no mother of her own, grew up in a chaotic household, and that's how her child felt. Her child did this. And the mother came to me to learn how to parent. And of course, the one on the left, I'm supposed to use my laser. We could all see what that would mean. No, everybody's got it, no? Okay, does anybody get what that is? Yeah, child is having medical issues. We have 1 minute left. I just want to do one last thing with you, and then we're done, okay? The first thing that I want to do with you, hold on, is I want to shut this. Okay, if everybody could get up for a second, right in front of the chairs. It's called the freeze game. So when I say freeze, you have to stop, okay? You could do this with your child. All right, everybody clap. Freeze! Okay, everybody tap on the chair in front of you. Freeze! Everybody turn around. Freeze! Everybody stamp your feet. Freeze! Okay, these are the type of things you could do at home. You don't have to be anything. There's many games, many things out there. It engages the child. Here's another one. Peanut butter jelly. Say it the way I say it. I say peanut butter, you could all sit down. You say jelly. Peanut butter. Peanut butter. No, you're supposed to say jelly. Peanut butter, peanut butter, peanut butter. It's a moment, it's a laughter, it's a game. Okay, we have 1 minute left. Everybody put everything off your lap. Can we dim the lights? No? Lights dimmed or no? Okay, we're going to ground for 1 minute. Okay? And what we're going to do is, everybody just feel your feet on the ground. Get really comfortable. Feel your seat. Feel your back. You can close your eyes if you want or not. I really want you to take in the physical support of the chair that you're sitting on. I want you to feel your feet on the ground and feel them connected to the ground like a tree is connected to 1,000 roots. Feel your seat, feel your back, and just notice your body. Notice that the chair is holding it up, even if you weren't to hold yourself up. Just notice the breath going through your nostrils. Notice the breath in and out. Notice it going through your head, your eyes. Notice it floating through your cheeks. Notice your jaw. Feel your shoulders. Notice the air going through your chest, your stomach, down your hands, even your fingertips. And just notice the air floating through your body as your feet is anchored to the ground and as your seat is anchored to the chair. I'm going to ask you to bring up a visual image of nature. Anything at all. The beach, the water, the lake, the sky. And just be there for a minute and hang out. Notice the air on your skin. Notice the sun or the dark. And notice how you feel in your body when you're there, even just for a second. And as you see this place, just focus on the pleasant sensations that you're feeling in your body. Notice how it's stilled. Notice what you feel. If you could do this every day with yourselves and your children, you will teach them to ground, and this is called regulating the nervous system. I thank you for listening, and thank you very much.